How's it going, guys? Today we are talking about EDC bags and the stuff that we carry inside of them. More specifically, we're going to talk about my EDC bag and why I have kept coming back to this specific bag for the last 20 years, what I'm carrying inside, and why I carry the things that I do. Now, as always, carry what you need what you carry. But I find it super useful to see what people are carrying and actually using, not just pocket jewelry. Nothing wrong with pocket jewelry, just not my bag. I like to see what people are actually carrying and how they're actually using it, maybe to change up my own carry, or even just to understand somebody else's perspective, because we all have different needs. Some of us have similar needs, but we all have different needs. So speaking of needs, it starts first thing for the bag because of what my needs are kind of in my everyday carry and the systems that I use to get around in the world. And this bag is the Osprey Eclipse 42. I bought this bag 20 years ago in Kanab, Utah on a huge sale because I think they were discontinuing it. They don't make these bags anymore. They pop up on eBay from time to time, but this is an absolutely stellar bag, and it comes with a couple things. Obviously, it's a bigger bag, and that's because I find myself regularly on the road, moving around a lot. So I like my EDC bag to be able to throw some clothes in it and be able to strap some things to it, which is one of the things that I love most about this bag, starting with this outside strap system. So you've got these two main straps on the outside of the bag that are connected to these protectors, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And these two straps right here are incredible because they can snap across the way to the closest connector on the protector, and you can tighten it up to tighten the bag up or to strap things to the outside of the bag, or you can go all the way to the other side of the bag, tighten that sucker up, and really crunch this bag down. So even though it's a fairly big bag for everyday carry, you can make it a lot smaller. And that's nice if you don't want something big bulging around on your bag, or if you need to fly and you got to shrink your bag down a bit. It's a great system for shrinking down your bag and a great system for attaching things to the outsides of your bag. Like I said, this bag is my everything bag. I don't like having a bunch of different gear in a bunch of different places. I like all my stuff in one place. And to be honest, I don't have the resources just to be buying gear left and right to have 30 different bags set up in all the different vehicles and different places that I'm going to be. So that's why this bag has to be kind of a singular solution. Now, on the outside, like I mentioned, it has these protectors on the outside, which are awesome. Now, again, I've been carrying this bag on and off for 20 years. It's the bag that I keep coming back to because I absolutely love this thing. And you can see how well the outside of this bag has held up with all that abuse. I mean, I've literally taken this thing all over the United States, Canada, Mexico, a lot of the world. I haven't been to Asia, but a lot of the world, this bag has seen action. And it was originally created, I believe, as a canyoneering bag. So the concept with this was that it could protect your gear, it could have a harder fall, you could scrape it down rocks, which I've done plenty with this thing, and it would protect your gear. It also just helps protect your gear generally on the day-to-day basis, and I think it's what's kept this bag operational for so darn long under such harsh conditions. Now, also in the front, we have the kangaroo pouch. This is kind of a catch-all. I absolutely love a good kangaroo pouch on the outside along with the strap system because, again, it just helps me expand the carry. So I can strap things down. Oh, maybe I forgot to load up a jacket. Sick, no problem. I can shove it in here. This is where I usually hold my water bottle when I'm carrying my water bottle around, because one place that this bag fails is it doesn't have a good water bottle holder. I found no bag is absolutely perfect. So it's a good place to put a water bottle, a couple other things. I'll show you some stuff that's in there in a minute. And then I've got these two immediate zippers on the outside. That's just where I keep the stuff that I need to be immediate retrievable or things that I need to be in special locations so I know where they're at. And then the really neat thing, and this is, I think, the biggest reason I keep coming back to this bag, is that the back of it zips completely open. There's a small access panel from the top, but I find for the most part, especially with deeper bags, you just get a bunch of gear granola in there and it's hard to find what you're looking for. So this bag unclips the shoulder straps, boom, and it opens up the entire way. Now, there are a lot of bags that do this, but most of them fail in that the sides don't have form to them. So the second that you open up your bag, either your gear's on the open side, because some of them are created that way, or your gear is here and everything flops down and all your gear flops out, which is a huge bummer. So this is probably the feature that keeps me coming back to this bag over and over again, along with its overall capacity. Now, this bag was created before people were carrying laptops around regularly, or at least I think so. So it doesn't have a laptop sleeve or anything. It does have a place to put like a Camelback or like a hydration insert in the back, and you can route a hose to the front. I do that regularly when I am backpacking with it, because for a long time, this was my backpacking day bag, everything bag. I have a bigger backpacking bag now, just needs expanded when I moved to cold country and I had to carry more gear. And then another thing that I really love with an EDC bag is I like to have a hip strap. Now, this hip strap I think is overkill for most people, even for myself if I'm considering just kind of my everyday needs. But I do use this bag a lot for hiking, and I've been out up in the snow a lot, so I just have the thicker piece on there. And this just Velcros in, and the Velcro has stayed good for all these years. You can hear it. It's a lot to pull it out, but it is just Velcro. It stayed really great. And I mean, this summer alone, I've put over 250 miles on this bag and this whole system with no problems. I mean, and that's nothing compared to the life of the bag as well. So that's kind of what I'm looking for in an EDC bag, and this bag captures it really, really well. That does bring me to the sponsor of this video because they released something really interesting. So, speaking of bags, I'm currently working on a whole EDC bag review. I'm trying to find great bags that hit a bunch of these qualifications that you guys actually would use and actually want to buy and wouldn't be a waste of money. And Big Idea Designs, as we know, they make incredible EDC tools. They have some great knives. But they recently, I think in the last year, it's pretty new to me, they've released this bag and it hits so many of the points that my Osprey hits. It's not as big, obviously, so it probably wouldn't work for me on a regular basis, but this thing is really, really sweet. So right out the gate, we got a strap on the outside. So again, expandable. I can throw a jacket in this, strap it down. I can throw a sleeping bag on this if I wanted to and strap it down. We have a nice big roll top kangaroo pouch, which I actually kind of like more than my kangaroo pouch here for a couple reasons. One, it's roll top, so it's expandable up. I really like bags that can get bigger and smaller. I think that's a huge thing with EDC bags. And it even has a zipper, so you can access the things inside of the roll top lower. You don't have to unroll the whole thing. I've had a stint with roll top bags, and that's one thing that I hated about them is you didn't have lower access, and once it's rolled up all the way, there's just a ton of places that you can lose things. So really, really love that. And when we're talking about lose things on this Big Idea Design bag, they have tons of rad, I mean, they knew their audience. They knew it was gonna be us buying these things. And they have tons of rad little gear zippers that you can put different little pieces of your carry. And this is something that I really, really love about the Big Idea Design bag, is that I can just nerd out a little bit more and I can just put my tools specifically where I want them. I don't know. There's just something really fun about that, and actually practical, not just fun. And then it does have a water bottle holder, which is a one-up over the Osprey, which is great. And then when you open up the main compartment, actually, let me show you the back compartment, because the main compartment is the thing that really sold me on this bag. So in the back compartment, we've got a laptop sleeve. We have a couple dividers. It zips up all the halfway down, so you can really get access to that compartment. And then the front zips the entire way, and it's formed. It's got hard sides to it. So they have it kind of built up right now for kind of like a camera bag, if you've ever seen a professional camera bag. But if you remove all of the inserts, which honestly, I think you probably should use some of them for carry, but if you removed all of them, the sides still have some stiffness to them, which means that you can keep your gear in here, you can open it up, and your gear's not gonna all fall out the side, or even the front, because it has a nice catch in the front as well. And then, of course, you have some organizers here. So this is a really rad bag. Good bags don't come cheap. This bag does cost a couple dollars, but I highly recommend it. This is one of the top bags that I'm currently working with in reviewing EDC bags, trying out some different systems. So thank you, Big Idea Designs, for being a sponsor of the channel, and thank you for making gear that we actually want to use and actually want to carry. This bag is one of those things for sure. Okay, so we've looked at what, for me, makes a great EDC bag. I like something that can get bigger and smaller. I like something that can catch things on the outside if I want to add something to the outside of my bag, or if I need to add a piece of gear. And personally, I like something that has a lot of storage, because again, I'll throw clothes in this thing. I'll use this as a weekend bag. I was just down in Phoenix for a couple days. My little sister was graduating college. It was a big deal. And this is the bag that I had with me, and I packed everything in it. And when I pack it that way, I actually have little cubes I keep my clothes in. So when I get to where I'm going, I can throw the cubes out, and then I can still use the bag as an everyday bag while I'm out and about. So now that we've looked at some of the why, let's look at some of the inside hows and whats. So I'm gonna walk you through kind of each pocket as we go, and we'll start with the outside kangaroo pocket. So your carry should probably change a little bit seasonally depending on what your needs are. And a big part of my carry, if you go back and watch any of the videos that I've done on EDC systems or why I carry what I carry, I like to carry things to be able to help other people. I like to be a good citizen. I like to be a helpful person. And so one of the things that I carry in here that it really isn't for me, but to be able to help other people are these yak tracks. Now, there's a bunch of different versions of these. I've personally found these to work the best. When I was working construction up in Sun Valley, Idaho, negative 25 out some mornings, I found that these work the best for actually getting around, not being in the road, and not breaking down really fast on you. And the way that they work are really simple. You just put the front of your toe of your boot or shoe here, you put the back, you pull, and then that stretch right onto your toe, right onto your shoe or your boot, and yeah, they work great. So if somebody's stuck on the side of the road, I'm on a lot of lonesome desert roads full of ice, this gives me a little more traction, a little bit more ability to help people. And that's why those are in there. Don't use them often, but when I need them, I've got them. One thing that I do carry everywhere, thanks to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, always have your towel.
A towel is about the most massively useful thing an interstellar hitchhiker can have.
And this is my sarong. So this is just a big piece of cloth. My best friend growing up while I was living in Las Vegas, his name was Bijoy. His family were first-generation immigrants from India. So actually, that's where I was first introduced to these. And then I know that they kind of got big in the tactical community. I think they're called like smogs or smaugs or I don't know. It's like the dragon in The Hobbit.
I am Smog!
But either way, super, super useful. You can use these things for shade in the desert. I've used this many times for that. You can use it in the cold like it is right now. You can wrap up like a scarf, wrap your head up, even sun protection that way as well. I've used these in first aid situations. I've actually just recently, this summer I did a lot of miles. I came across, unfortunately, a couple of very serious accidents. And the last one that I had actually ended up taking a Flight for Life ride with a guy that was in a motorcycle accident. So this is actually a new one for me. But really, really handy. I just can't, like, you can put it down and have a clean place to sit. I can't express the positives of the sarong enough to let you guys know this thing is awesome. And if you're not carrying one, maybe you can find some use for it because I find these things really, really useful. Also, just a great towel, like if you just find a random body of water to jump into, which I do regularly. Okay, and then in my front two zip pockets, my front smaller zip pocket is for personal defense items. Sometimes they stay in the bag, sometimes they're on my person. Luckily, those aren't things that I need very often or really ever, which is great. And then we go into the bigger zipper, which is just kind of my first retrievable stuff that I want and not buried inside of the bag. So along with that comes some, some winter additions. So I've got a pair of Ibex wool gloves. I've had these gloves forever. They have a couple holes in them. They still work great. I went for a run just this morning, t-shirt and shorts with these gloves on, 15 degrees. I felt like $1 million. Just a quick 3 miles in the cold. But yeah, these come in really, really handy, not just for helping people, but just in general, because when it's cold, you don't know where you may or may not be or what work you may or may not be doing. Along with that is also my beanie. I wear this beanie all the time. I don't have it on right now, even though it is cold, because I wanted to show you guys the beanie is in there regularly if I need it or if I don't have it on, if I have my hat on or whatever, I've got my beanie in there. Kind of a fun one that I didn't think that I would carry very much. This was a 12-year-old Zach decision, and I thought it would get out of my bag, but I've ended up really digging it, and that is the Snox Monocular. I got this off of Huckberry, huckberry.com. They got a ton of great gear. Check them out. They're great. They come in a bunch of different colors, but it's just a little monocular, gets the job done. I threw it in there originally because 12-year-old Zach was like, dude, we're going to be James Bond. You got to have that in there because we got to be able to spy on people. We got to be able to see stuff, And then also there's the, cowboy upbringing in me that you just have a pair of binoculars in the truck, for spotting cattle, spotting deer, whatever it may be. So the idea is not new to me, but I really found this to be a great addition to my everyday carry. Not just for the backpacking portion. I've used this in urban settings. I've used it on the side of the road. I've used this quite a bit. And so it wasn't a piece of gear that I've ever carried before, but the last year or so, it's stayed in the bag and I found it really, really useful. Not something I use often, but it is something I find really enjoyable. And I don't think that our carries have to always just be business, right? So a little bit of business, a little bit of fun. I think that's all right. And then I also carry a headlamp. Now, if you guys know, in my pockets, I carry a couple tools, couple things as well. And one of those things is what I think is the best EDC flashlight. This is the Phoenix E12. It runs on a standard battery. It doesn't have a bunch of recharge crap that you can't do if you're, out in the bush or you don't have a way to recharge it. I always keep spare batteries on me. The Phoenix E12 is just a stellar light. It has 3 light settings. And along with that, I have my patented hairband technology on my trusty Phoenix E12. And that's for a few reasons. reasons. One, hairband can be kind of useful. If there's a lady in your life or a lady you're interested in your life, they're going to probably need a hairband eventually. You're going to look like a hero if you have one. And then the other big reason is that it allows my pocket flashlight to turn into a headlamp if I'm on the side of the road or if I just need a quick headlamp. And I can't have it in my mouth because that's what I do a lot as well, is just hold it in my mouth. So the Phoenix E12 is great, but in my bag that I'll have on me, not all the time, but I've got the flashlight on me all the time, I do carry a headlamp. This is a black diamond headlamp. I'm not very impressed with it. It eats batteries really quick, and it just seems to like not function great. It's just the one I have right now. I got this on sale somewhere, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, I'll try it out. So I'll be changing this out eventually, but I've got the black diamond headlamp in there. If I have longer work to do, just the other day I was over, I ended up having to help my little brother with a carburetor rebuild. We ended up working into the night. Sure, I could put the E12 on my glasses, but it's a heck of a lot easier just to throw this on, and I had my bag, so that made it really easy. So headlamp is something that I keep in there. And then finally, I keep some calories in here as well. Currently, it is crunchy peanut butter Cliff Bars. It can be beef jerky or whatever, because again, the idea with this bag is that I can throw something in it, or maybe not even throw anything in it, just grab it and go, and I'm ready for an adventure. Whether that's an urban adventure or, you know, a rural adventure. And so a little bit of calories is good. That'll change. It just depends on what I've got in there at the given time. All right, let's look at the inside of this bad boy in our big piece here. So we'll start off easy. I always have a book on me. Well, almost always have a book on me, and it's usually in my bag. And right now I am reading Gilgamesh. There are certain classics that I reread at certain times of the year. I don't know why. It's just the way my brain is programmed. Gilgamesh is one that I always read in the wintertime. It's an epic poem. I think this is the oldest existing written story that we have, like, in humanity. I'm pretty sure it is. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. I believe it's Mesopotamian. Either way, it's a great epic poem about masculinity and friendship, and it's just awesome. So you should check it out if you want to. Great book. But I always have a book on me. All right, this is a cool one too. So this, the case on this has recently been upgraded to a Duluth case because I had this in a charge a car battery case, and the zipper finally gave out. So Duluth was having a sale. I got a nice canvas leather little holder for it. But the big thing inside of it is a puffer jacket. And this is just a lightweight, compactable jacket that will actually keep you warm, maybe shed a little bit of rain. This particular one's Patagonia. Again, I got this on sale. Brand doesn't matter. You just want something that'll crunch down and that can go in your bag. Now, because I live in the mountainous west, and even in the summertime in July, you can end up at elevation and have it be cold. This thing actually stays in my bag year-round. This is not a seasonal edition. And I find that what happens usually is other people use it more than I do. I would say in a given year, other people are wearing this more than I'm wearing it, because I'm generally ready for kind of a whatever situation. But not everybody I drag along always is. So yeah, very, very useful to have a nice puffer jacket in there. When I was living like in the Southwest, like in Nevada and Arizona area, that's not something I would have kept in my bag year round. It's probably not something I would have kept in my bag at all, because generally you got a blanket in the car, you got a sweatshirt on, you're good to go. But yeah, find it really useful in the cold areas. Along with that, I've always got there was a sale on the Duluth pack, man. I've always got a couple knives in there that I'm testing out. Right now, I've got one. This is a gravity knife. Let's see if I can do it with that cold hands. There we go. This is a gravity knife from Daily Carry Co., and it's, just a cool little gravity knife. I believe this is their aluminum version, so I'm just doing a little testing on that to check it out. And then I will just keep a bandana in here to wrap up knives to keep them from rubbing on each other. And, oh, in here also, I have got a Big Bro Jack from Jack Wolf Knives. I've been checking out traditionals and modern traditionals. I'm really loving what Jack Wolf does. And great walk and talk, great half stop. So those are the two knives that I've got in my little knife pouch that I keep for just testing things. In my pocket, I have my Civivi Yonder. This is my knife. This is the knife that I designed with Civivi. You should get yourself one, not just because it's mine, but because I think it's a pretty darn good knife. And most people agree. So that's what I got in my pocket. But those are the knives I have kind of in my tester pouch for testing out in different situations. Sweet. And now I've got my EDC kit. I'm not going to run you guys through the whole kit. I've got a whole video on my EDC kit, how and why it changed. You might notice, though, there's a bit of a problem, and this thing is not zipped up. And that is because I had a couple changes recently. So I'm just going to show you my changes really fast. And the big change, the reason the thing won't close, is I had to finally get a new battery. Now, again, carry what you need what you carry. This is probably overkill for most people, but I I do YouTube for work. So I need to have a laptop charge. I need to sometimes charge camera gear. I need to be able to charge a varied amount of electronics, and I'm not always in the best position to be able to do that. So I've got to have a pretty serious battery. The one that I had, it was also an Anker. I'd had it for like 5-6 years. It performed flawlessly. It was a little bit thinner, a little bit smaller. I absolutely loved it. And it finally died. So I had to upgrade to this one, and if I was going to upgrade with all the new charging necessities out there, I went ahead and just got the big boy. Now it makes it so that my tech pouch doesn't close, which breaks my heart because I love this thing. So I've got to find a new pouch for my EDC pouch. But right now, it's working. It gets the job done. 2 other additions to that is I did add some Narcan. If you watch my other videos, I do keep some first aid kit stuff in my EDC kit, and then I do keep some trauma stuff in my bag, which we're going to look at here in just a second. But I did add some Narcan to this. There's a couple circles that I run around in that, you know, may not be bad to be able to help somebody out if they end up in a bad situation due to their own decisions, but if they end up in a bad situation. So that was addition for my first aid stuff. And finally, I've got myself a new charger of sorts that is for the various electronics that I've got on me. Recently, my good buddy Jamie convinced me to get an iWatch. It is the best dumb phone. So if you're trying to use your phone less, it can be an Android watch too. It doesn't have to be that, but just something that has its own data that you can get the basics through. And so as a result, I had the necessity of carrying a phone charger because of course it has a specific silly charger for it. So I was like, well, I don't want to carry 30 different cables around with me. I don't want to carry a bunch of different cables. So this will allow me to do 2 big contact charge things. So my phone and like AirPods or whatever, and then also my watch, and it only requires 1 cord, 1 plug-in. And it folds up in this little clamshell thing. It's pretty sweet, and that's also an Anker product. I think when it comes to charging, as far as blocks and things of that nature goes, you just can't beat Anker. They do the best. So those are a couple additions to my EDC kit. If you want to see the full load out of that with those additions, just go watch. I've got a video. Check out down in the description. All right, so that is my main compartment. And then now we break into kind of the side compartments. There are 2 like Velcro hideaways inside of this thing. And that is where, on the note of first aid, you will find my trauma kit. So this is a trauma kit from my medic. It's got all sorts of great life-saving things inside of it, mainly stop bleeding. That's like the big thing that this kit contains. I think it does have a pair of gloves in there as well because you'd be dealing with bleeding. Luckily, even with some of the rough stuff that I've come across this year with a flipped over car, a car run into a tree, and a head-on motorcycle with a semi-truck, all very serious situations where I was the first person on scene that had training and had some stuff, I still have never had to use this. And that's a good thing because that means that those people probably had a better chance of survival once the medics got them. One thing that I did add to this though is I did add a cat tourniquet. I don't like the tourniquet system that comes in the kit, so I did add that to the outside of this kit. And here's the thing with carrying first aid stuff or carrying anything. Again, carry what you need what you carry. And that should mean that you know how to use it because you are using it. I think that sometimes we have a habit of seeing cool stuff that people are carrying and we're like, oh, I'm gonna add that. And we don't train ourselves on how to use something properly. Now, obviously, if you got pocket knives, you don't need training on that, right? You got a cool pen, you don't need training on that, right? But if you're gonna carry, bigger items or life-saving items, I think it's really important to have the training. So I stay up on my training. How many fire starters do you have that you know how to actually use? How many times have you trained with those fire starters with the ends of your fingers cold, right? These are serious questions to ask yourself. So I'm all up on my training for tourniquets and for the best procedures for life-saving stuff. I try to hit that training about once a year. Things can change, ideas can change, best practices can change. So yeah, that's my little trauma kit, my MyMedic trauma kit with my cat tourniquet. All right, this is the only thing in my bag that I think is probably dead weight at this point. This was an experiment that I threw in back in the spring. And this is a rain fly cover, not specifically for my bag, but it fits my bag. And this is from my good buddy Peter McKinnon and Nomadic. He has an awesome bag system with them. I think it's a great bag in general. His bag will probably be in my bag roundup. I've taken his bag down to Mexico a couple times on the back of motorcycles, and I found it very useful. But anyways, this is the rain cover for that bag, and I was just like, oh yeah, let's throw it in. I'm gonna be doing a bunch of hiking and all over the country, and maybe I'll need it. What I found is that if it's raining, I'm already wet and I'm not going to stop to put this thing on. So I did not find this very useful. Not that it's not a good product, it's great. Just for my personal uses, I haven't used it once and it's been in there since spring. So probably after this video, that will be removed. Okay, and now on the other side, I got a couple little things. One thing that I'm probably going to get made fun of for. And I'll probably do that one last. Or second to last. Okay, so in there, like I said, I like to be able to expand and contract my EDC bag for the different needs that I have. And one way that I found that's really useful for expanding that carry is a little fold-away nylon backpack. I got this one free from my dad. I've had it in there for like 2 years. I've used it a ton. It finally is giving up the ghost. It's not dead yet, but I do need to replace it. Maybe I can find like a cool like Kevlar one or something a little bit tougher. But either way, I found this thing to be pretty comfortable, and yeah, it's just a way to expand my carry. I've been in multiple situations where I'm on foot in a city, my bag's pretty full because maybe I've got a sleeping bag, and I've got, my clothes, the bag's pretty full up, and maybe I need to do some grocery shopping or pick something up or whatever, right? Maybe I found a cool comic book store and I pick up a couple comic books. Either way, this bag has become really useful for expanding my carry. Not only that, but if I find myself in a position where I need to keep my bag kind of together and I can't just take things out willy-nilly, this works as kind of a great get-out-there bag. I can throw my EDC kit in it, I can throw a water bottle in it, I can throw a jacket in it, and I can just hit the town, which is great. Now, on my bag, I also carry a proper climbing locking carabiner. I use this for a lot of different things, but the biggest thing that I use it for is for attaching to this bag, and then it hangs off the front of my Osprey. So it really expands the capacity of my carry by quite a bit, and it's just a great piece of gear that doesn't cost me a lot of weight and doesn't cost me a lot of size. So I need to get a new one, but I find that really, really useful. All right, so now the thing that I'm probably going to get laughed at, and you'd have to have tuned into a couple videos to laugh at this. Taylor Martin at Best Damn EDC, my good buddy over there, he's probably going to email or text me right after that he sees this video, because I do have an EDC repair kit. All right, I have strong opinions about EDC repair kits, specifically like pocket knife repair kits that we carry around on the daily. I just don't think they're super necessary. I have not found myself personally needing this at all, but I'm known as the knife guy in my friend and family group. So if I end up at somebody's house or if I'm out with somebody, they're not taking care of their knives at home like me and you probably do. And so they're like, hey, you're a knife guy, can you fix this? And blades loose, centering, I don't know, it needs to be cleaned, whatever, right? So I have started carrying a couple tools, which I will show you. One thing that I have carried forever for pocket knives and EDC touch-up is a sharpener. I have carried a sharpener forever. It used to be a stone, then Work Sharp paired with Benchmade and had a nice little kind of pocket tuner upper. And now Work Sharp has their own Work Sharp branded pocket sharpener, and I absolutely love this thing. So you get a hard enough grit here that you can actually sharpen your knife, and then you got a nice ceramic here that you can touch up that edge. Now, full transparency, I'm using the ceramic 99% of the time, especially if you're walking around with a bunch of super steels in your pocket. It takes a long time to sharpen those knives by hand. And so, as you can see, I do use that side a bit, but the ceramic side is what I use mostly just for touch-ups, because I can find myself on the road for a couple weeks or even a couple days of hard use at a time, where being able to touch up my knife is nice. Now, on to the EDC tool portion of it. I do carry 2 Benchmade bit kits. These were gifts. I don't carry them because they're the best. To be honest, I don't know what the best are. I don't tinker with my knives a ton. I might take them apart for a specific modification that I want to do, but I'm not the guy that pulls things apart and polishes washers and changes out bearings and things like that. I just don't do that type of service and maintenance. Keep my knives running well, because a clean tool is a happy tool. But yeah, so I keep these in there because sometimes you need a bit for either side of the pivot. And then also driver-wise, I keep my NAFS bit driver in there. Not only because it is a great bit driver, but because it's so dang fun. Here, listen. It's just so dang fun to play around with. I don't pull this out and play around with it, but when it is out, it's really fun to play with. And then I've got all of that just in it's like an MKM little knife case. I love these. When knives come in these little zipper cases, I absolutely love it. And so yeah, that's my EDC repair kit. And it is only in there because I'm known as the knife guy. Let me know if you guys find regular need to repair your knives while you're out and about. I just maintain my stuff really well at home, and I find that I've never used any of this stuff on my own knives, even when I'm out for longer stretches. And then finally, in my bag, I carry a little fixed blade. So this is the Tops Bull Trout. I absolutely love this thing. You got a burlap micarta handle. It's probably $10.95 if I remember correctly. Obviously nice leather sheath. And you can see this thing gets quite a bit of use. And that is because when I'm leaving, I may not know exactly what I'm going to be doing, or again, how long I'm going to be out and where I might be. So I've used this thing for fire starting. I've used this thing for cleaning fish. I've used this thing for all sorts of impromptu things that I find myself doing that the knife in my pocket may not be the most suited for. So it's just a nice, lightweight little fixed blade. And this, specifically the bull trout, super handy. You might find you got a little bit of a sharp edge here. I've heard some people complain about that if you have like a bigger finger, but I've never found a problem there. If you do, just hit that with a Dremel or a grinder real quick. That's gone, and you've got a fully smooth choil. But other than that, this knife is absolutely amazing. So, Tops Bull Trout, great little fixed blade in my EDC bag. And that, my friends, is all the stuff that I carry on a regular basis. This is the stuff in my bag that I'm using very regularly. Hopefully I was able to highlight the stuff that I use often, the stuff that I don't use as often, the stuff that's there for precautionary measures. As always, carry what you need what you carry. I can't stress it enough. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. Let me know down below what some of your favorite EDC bags are, because I'm still working on that video and I'd love some great suggestions. We'll catch you on the next one.